Now is the time, a time you'll look back on, a time you adopt as inspiration. You will recollect this time, this moment, right now. Motivate yourself towards success. Overcome, take over. The time is now.
Get in there.
Get in.
Love it.
Apologies for the slight delay. My internet is shit tonight, so I can't even see the things that are popping up on screen with that you can see, but Pete can see them, so that's the main thing. But Pete, how are you?
Oh, I did say to you, Daz, at the end of the game, I need to lie down, and I didn't quite get the lie down, but managed to kind of just recover from that game because I feel like I went through all the emotions. I don't know what everyone else was like, but how are you feeling?
Oh, Grand Pete. Yeah, it was some game. I wasn't expecting it to be as easy as the last time when they got a player sent off pretty much at the start of the game. But it was a tough battle. Jesus, yeah, it swayed either way because we were pretty dominant in the game, and then we'll get into the details. But I thought we were coming away with a defeat or at worst a draw, but unbelievable to get a victory. I just can't believe it from where we were and the manner and how it happened as well. Just unreal.
Amazing. It really was. Yeah, like I said, we've gone through all this sort of emotions to feel like we're only going to settle for a point, to then potentially losing the game, to then going on to win it. It's almost like the roller coaster of being a Newcastle United fan in the last 18 months. It was superb. Massive win. But look, see so many in the chat, so many. Jules is in there. Welcome, Jules. And like Jules has just said, don't forget to click those thumbs up. We've got 130 in the chat right now. Click that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We're already making our waves now to 6K. Come and help us out. But look, Jules is flying the flag. You got the likes of Drew. We've got our mod Lisa in the chat. We've got Stephen Coulson, Frederick Axelson. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologise. David Cook, Will, Joelinton for life, as always. William Smith, great to see you on there. Retro Andy, great to see you. EIEIO, get in. Love it. And so many more others in the chat as well. And I'll get to you guys. Tom Dixon, of course, in the chat. And Daz is just coming back. His internet's not great. So we'll just come through it today. Brilliant win today. But it was a tough game. Great to see Mitrovic miss his penalty. Not off. That is for sure. Think we might have Daz back. We'll just give it a second. We might have him back soon. Let's wait and see. Let's leave him there just in case. But no, brilliant stuff today. Great to see our Swedish hero score again. Look, we're going to come to that in a second. Here he is. He's back. Daz is back. Just go through some comments, Daz. Our resident mole, good evening. EIEIO. We are on the march. Johnny V, how are the lads? Jules, thank you for your comments as always. Good evening, gang. Hope you're well. Great result today. And Vera is back. Okay. We've got loads more in here as well. Loads more. Les Stapleton, great to see you. Top Bobby, great to have you in the channel. If you're not subscribed, click that subscribe. But look, fantastic result. Absolutely brilliant. And we are looking very, very good now at the top of the league, particularly because Spurs got beat comfortably against Arsenal. And now I think, if I'm right in thinking, there's a 5-point gap in the table. So let's make sure that we're pushing on from that. And we'll just have a quick look at the table now. As you can see, Arsenal top of the tree, 47 points. You've got Man City on 39, and then Newcastle United restored back to third in the league, just as it should be, on 38 points. Who would have thought 19 games, halfway point, 38 points? I saw something out there actually that said we have not been in this position since Sir Bobby Robson was manager, which I thought was amazing. Great to see that we're flying the flag as well. And you can see Man United on 38 game in hand, but then Tottenham down in fifth, 33. Fulham 31, Brighton 30, Brentford 29, and all the way down there, 10 points behind us are Liverpool and Chelsea in 9th and 10th, respectively. Look, we have got to be happy with that. 110% that we are smashing it at the moment and getting these wins when we need it. Look, we'll get Daz and we'll get Daz's opinions on all things Newcastle, Fulham, when he manages to come back on. I think he's going to try and restart his internet, so don't worry. I'm going to hold back in terms of him going through the match reaction until Daz is back on. But I'm just flying through some of these comments as well, and I'll come to this one here. From Stephen Nutkin, he said, Fulham nearly got 3 points with 0 shots on goal and less than 30% possession. Wow. Didn't realise it was that bad. Yesterday, Man U take third place and the media wet themselves. Toomey take third and it's silence. You know what? You are absolutely right. You know, the fact that we've gone back to third today, there's no talk of us being in the title race. Not that I'm for that. I really don't mind us kind of just going about our business quietly. But, you know, the fact that there's nobody talking about Newcastle being in the title race, I just think it shows really the level of disrespect. It'll be interesting. I don't know if there's anyone in the chat, maybe our 00 Stato, if he's in the chat, Keith. When was the last time someone outside the traditional top 6 was at this point in the table within a season? I've got a feeling it might be Leicester, but I don't know if anyone else has done that before this period. I'm thinking it was Leicester when they won the league, being third in the halfway point of the season. It'd be worth finding out that. That'd be an interesting one. But you're absolutely right, Stephen. Fulham nearly won the game with 0 shots on goal. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But we'll go through. Yes, look, we're going to come to it in a second. But lots of people talking about, the next game. Obviously, bring on Palace next Saturday, another massive game. And as we've got the league table up right there, you can see that you got the likes of Man U play Arsenal next weekend. You've got Man City, that are playing teams around them. You've got Tottenham that are playing teams around them. Whilst we've got Fulham today, Palace next week. I think it's then Bournemouth and then West Ham. We're playing teams that we can actually go and take points off. You can see there in the table, 12th place, Crystal Palace, 22 points. If we can go there and win that game, and all the other teams around us are dropping points to each other, it just only strengthens our position in the league. So this is a real crucial time, in my opinion, for Newcastle United to get points on the board. So this was a massive, massive result. It was a cracking result, Drew. You're absolutely right. Top Bobby said, dare I say, we're even starting to get lucky with Mitro's penalty. Look, we'll talk about it in a second. But look, all the good teams, all the best teams have a little bit of luck now and again. You can't always go through a season where you're you're just smashing teams and destroying teams. It's not possible. It's not realistic. You're going to have games where they're tight and they're difficult. And look, in this game in isolation, we'll talk about it in a bit of detail when Daz has got his internet back up and running. Great to have you in, David. Well deserved 3 points in the end, definitely. Gary, great to have you in. Eddie saying after the match we are light in midfield. Yes. Interestingly, and I don't know if many people know this, Elliot Anderson's injured as well. He confirmed in his press conference after the game. So not only do we have, John Joe Shelby out injured, not only have we now lost Bruno Gamarães, but even before the game we had Elliot Anderson injured with a minor calf injury. So we're actually going in to our next Premier League game against Crystal Palace with no replacement midfielder for Joelinton, Joe Willock, and Sean Longstaff. There are only 3. So, look, I'm sure we'll get to talk about it either in this show or in the next one, but I'm sure at some point, and he's back in business. I'm sure at some point we'll talk about it in a little bit of detail. Daz is back. I'm just talking about Eddie Howe's press conference after the game. We'll get into the game. I wanted to wait for you, Daz,
cool.
of course. But Eddie Howe said that Elliot Anderson's got an injury. He's got a calf injury. So we actually don't have any fit replacement midfielders for Joe Willock, Joelinton, and Sean Longstaff. So, the question there is that, Gary saying, come on, Maddison, and Tills as in Yuri Tillemans. Who knows? But surely that's got to push him into making a decision. Oh, no, he's gone again. We'll get that answer to that question. I'll star that one. We'll get the answer to that question in a second. Oh, bless him. Internet. All of a sudden, just as about to go live, it just went down and struggling to get it back up. I've been in that position many a time. It's the beauty of YouTube and Wi-Fi connecting. Some days it's great, some days it's not. But many more comments coming in from various different people. David Cook said, anyone notice Tripp's pick up ref's phone and move it forward? I was in stitches. I did see that for the free kick in the first half. I never knew it was that easy to do, to just move it forward. But yeah, he put that big dollop in the middle, just as where the point for the board. He just scooped it forward a yard or two. That was actually quite funny. I did see that. Yes, hope it's not too serious. If anyone's seen Bruno after the game, it is a little bit of a concern, but maybe more of a precaution. We'll come back to that one in a second. Steve, you're not right. You're not wrong. Going back into the market for sure. We need to definitely. Great to have you enjoyed the Team for Life as always, Stephen. Put it on there. When Bruno went off, we had no creativity. You know what? If for long parts in that second half, it did look like that, particularly in that centre midfield. We'll come on to Sean Longstaff in a little bit in terms of the game. But for me personally, I just think that he just hasn't got that same range of passing. It's just not the same. He hasn't got an eye for that ball. I'm not saying he had a bad game, but I'm just saying it's not the same. We need someone that can keep moving that ball quickly and open up the game. I mean, that Bruno Gamarães pass in the first half to Sean Longstaff, it's just, there's no one in our midfield that can play a pass like that other than him. And, that's what we're looking for. That's what the likes of Stephen are saying in that going into the market and potentially buying someone that can do that, someone that can link the play and be that creative spark when someone like Bruno gets injured, because it's inevitable. They're always going to get injured at some point. Players, it's part of the game. So it's whether we've got those quality of players to come in and really make a difference. That's, from my perspective, that's what it is. But 1 second. I think, Daz will be back in a second. He's just dropped me a quick message. Lots and lots of comments in there. Get your questions in. I'm going to fire through from lots and lots on here. Lots of people talk about Bruno's injury. Sparking some urgency. Yeah. Wilson got injured and 2 days later we had Isak. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's a great point. From that perspective, we went out and spent some money, and it's not like we've not got the money to go and do it. I think we can. I definitely think we can. So, yeah, for me, we're still well in there and kicking about. But hopefully it's nothing too serious and we can get him back. What I did see, actually, quite interestingly, a lot of Southampton fans celebrating today, seeing that picture of Bruno Gamarães, because they now think that they've got a chance with obviously one of our main players injured, getting excited about him coming off and being injured. So let's see if that makes a difference. We'll see. No, Leon, you're not the only one that keeps looking at the league table. 10 points clear of Chelsea, 5 clear of Spurs. We just talked about that get-in. You know what? No, not on the dial-up again, Craig Lee. Just internet, it is what it is. Some days it's great, some days it's poor. It is what it is. To be fair, mine's not been great recently. Touch wood, it's all good today, and we managed to get through. Some of you are still look. Bruno, I think, is covering the whole of this conversation. Yeah, that was interesting. About the penalty. Just you would have thought they'd have had a little bit more knowledge than that. And NUFC Luke 98, Agent Mitro. You know what? I want to put it past him. He's talking us up very, very positively before the game. Would he take the leap if we came back in with interest? He's the main man at Fulham, plays every week. They're having a good season. Would he snap our hands off if we came back in and was said to be, a player to fight for his position, not necessarily guaranteed, a little bit like a Chris Wood? Would he take the jump back, or would he stay where he is? Interesting question. Yeah, definitely. The double tapping pen, it did look like Pope was going the right way and possibly going to save it. So, we're never going to know, but let's see. That's for sure. And yeah, Eddie Howe did say, to be fair, he did admit that potentially he could have kept, or he could have subbed Bruno off a little bit earlier. Maybe he should have. I think it comes to that realization. It was clear he was never going to last that long. Anybody that's had a twisted ankle or a ligament injury or worse, with that movement when the ankle kind of locks, that you'll have a point of 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes where your adrenaline kicks in and you don't feel the pain as much. You can run around and stuff. But when that adrenaline dies off, and you knew at that point he started limping for that. At the point he started limping just before he went off at half time, you knew that was when the adrenaline ran off and he just could not carry on. I mean, at that point, he should have been dragged because you can't make it. You can't let it get any worse. And that's when it's worse, because if you keep running through that pain, more blood being exposed to the area, more risk of swelling. That's the worry about it. That's for sure. But look, let's run through just as we wait for Dask. I think he's doing a full reboot. Let's look at the team. So the team news was up here. So we had an unchanged team. Lots of people expected there to be a change or two. Notably, Joelinton expected him to miss out today, but it was an unchanged team. For me, I'll be honest. I for one was happy about that. I was happy that Joelinton was playing. Look, the club have dealt with the situation with Joelinton internally. I'm sure there's been a significant fine there. Eddie Howe talked about the re-education. At that point, it didn't need to go any further. If it went any further, it would only purely be related to the actual issue around media and media forcing teams to do things and make decisions of dropping players. Daz is back in. Welcome, Daz. I'm just
hopefully I'm back here.
You're looking strong at the moment. Let us just switch us back. You're looking strong at the moment. The strongest I've seen you since we came on. So I reckon you'll be fine.
Cheers, Pete.
Yeah, no, Joelinton strong, should we say?
Oh,
You know,
wow.
Joelinton's strong at the moment.
That says something. Yeah, apologies to everybody. I don't know what's going on with my internet. I might have tweaked something now, so it might carry on. But sorry, you're asking me the question about J7, I guess, and his inclusion today. Yeah, for me, yeah, I would have included him in the squad as well. I think he'll get a punishment from the club, and in terms of a fine, the law, it's up to the law then to deal with it after that. I'm sure he gets some kind of driving ban or some whatever it may be. But I think if he was dropped from our squad today, it would be punishing us, not more so than Joelinton. And let's say, for example, because Big Joe had a great game today, he could have been the difference between us getting a point, 0 points, or the win. And come the end of the season, we might need those points, and we will need those points because it's going to be tight, especially when we have aspirations to get into the top 4. So no, I think the right decision was made. He will get his punishment, and we're not condoning drink and driving, and I'm totally against it, drink driving myself. But I think it's the punishment will come via the club and via the law. That's what the law is there to deal with those matters. So yeah, that was from my thoughts and from this. And I'm not just saying that because we got to win either. That would be even if we lost, I would have still said the same thing. But thanks, Pete, for flying the flag. Hopefully I'm here for the rest of it. But yeah, I suppose that was the only big talking point, Pete, from the team news. So I'm not sure what else you covered. And
I wanted to hold back. So all of this stuff after this, Dan, this is all up for discussion because I was just answering various different questions from people in the chat. So crack on, mate. Do what you need to.
So yeah, so the next bit was the team used for Fulham as well. And of course, Mitro was there, and we were wondering would he bring his boots. So it looks like he brought both of them. Glad he did. Hit off each other. But yeah, so let's get into the game. So I'll talk you through the game. So first 4 minutes, Langston shot blocked after Bruno's through ball. He's kind of a bit unlucky with that one. In the first 15 minutes, there was minor chances on both ends. It was more us than them, but it was still chances for Fulham's way as well. Then on the 18th minute, Bruno over on his ankle, and he was limping, and that would play a key talking point throughout the rest of that first half. There was Wilson's header. Of course, Bruno tried to play on then as well. Willock's running the ball across. Wilson didn't connect on the 32nd minute, 37 minutes. Longstaff across the line to cross the ball across the line for Willock, and resulting in a corner. Sharp ball to Wilson, shot saved by the keeper in the 38 minutes. Then on 43 minutes, there was a bit of a Longstaff dive, I'm going to say. And we got a free kick, and Trippier hit it into the wall. Then on the 45th minute, Wilson had took a spin and a shot, and the keeper made a save. Now, all through that first half, then we're all kind of scratching our heads, going, what's the story with Bruno? He's limping pretty bad. He did kind of pick up the pace and try to run it off. Then they put a bit of strap now when Pope went down. I think Pope was just giving Bruno time there, as that's what it looked like. So Pope went down, and because Pope wasn't getting involved in anything at that stage. So yeah, it wasn't looking good for Bruno. And I'm going to put a talking point to you, Pete, because for me, I thought we should have taken Bruno off earlier because when you go over your ankle, you're playing any kind of sport, you go over your ankle, like it starts to swell, and there's no way you can run it up. You need to rest up, and but playing on though, it's potentially leading to more damage. Would you have taken him off earlier than halftime? I know they were trying to see could he run it off, but what's your thoughts on that one?
I briefly touched on this because someone put something in the chat, but in short, would I have took him off earlier? Yeah, I would have. Would it have been straight away? I don't know, because as I mentioned before, when you get an injury like that, your adrenaline kicks in and you are able sometimes to carry on, sometimes to play 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes even. And sometimes you are able to run it off. It all depends on how bad the injury was, and it looked bad. But you saw after about 5 minutes when he continued that he did seem okay, and then very quickly after that it sort of declined, and that was the adrenaline sort of like running out. And at that point I would have took him off, because then he started hobbling. And to be fair, Eddie Howe in his post-match press conference admitted that he probably should have took him off a little bit earlier. Yeah, it probably wasn't the right decision to keep him on, but I understood what Eddie Howe said. It was right near half time. I think it was on about, I noticed it on about 43, 44 minutes when he was starting to hobble. And, you know, if you're a manager, you're thinking, can we get to half time and then make the sub inside, where you can then talk tactics and various other things rather than make a rush decision. But bless him, he's so passionate. And that's not just because of the injury. That's just because he loves playing football. And he loves playing football for Newcastle United, and he's so passionate about being out there every week with us and fighting for us that, you know, he hates the thought of being out for a long period of time. I don't think it's because he thinks it's a serious injury. So yeah, disappointed to see him injured. He's such a key player for us, and we felt it when he weren't on the pitch.
We sure did, Pete. And I'm maybe you touched on this already, but if anyone was watching on Sky, you would have seen the interview with Bruno as well before the game, and it just shows like that the passion of him. You can you love him anymore? He's just the best, unreal, love him. And yeah, and he was talking about showing Eddie Howe his DVD of goals, so because he was trying to convince him that he'd to play him in the number 8. So yeah, we might see that in the future. I think we definitely need to go in for a midfielder now. I'd be on the phone tomorrow. Dan Ashworth said there the other day that they'll be monitoring the situation and have things kind of options available. So time to start looking at those, back to that list and looking at those options, I think, now come tomorrow. Okay, let's go into the second half then. So ASM come on for Bruno. Immediately he was in the thick of the action. And Wilson had a header from a corner. J7 was brought down then as well, and everyone was thinking Trips is going to take this. No, Shar steps up and takes a really quick free kick, and he hit the post. So that was a good. At that point, I was in our own chat. P. I know you stay out of our chat when the match is on. Sometimes it's too much. But I was calling for switch to 4-4-2, bring on Isak at this stage. But anyway, and when that hit the post, Miggy followed up with the rebound and deflected for a corner. Fulham were picking up a fair few yellow cards, and at that stage, kind of professional fouls, kind of trying to hold us off as well. Then we got to the very interesting stage where it just went absolutely crazy. I'm sure you've probably talked about some of this already. It's where there was a VAR decision. There was a Burn pulled someone back, but it was a very light pullback, and it went. VAR checked it. That happened first. Then the second thing that happened was the kind of trip by Trippier on Reed. So first VAR checks the pullback from Burn, and that's what was kind of all hearts in our mouth. Okay, we got away with that. We were probably lucky. There was a slight pull, but we got away with it. Not so bad. Then the bombshell of, okay, they're going to VAR again to check on the next one. And we're like, oh, for fuck's sake, what can we do here? And then you could see it was, I know it was debatable then whether it was a penalty, not a penalty, but it turns out they gave it as a penalty. And then up steps our old boy Mitro on fire, and Pope got booked. He was trying to talk on the ref, trying to slow things down as well, put Mitro off. Then the penalty was struck, and it went in. But then I was totally confused at this stage. Because I didn't see the double touch from Mitro, so he slipped as he was hitting. I'm sure most people will have seen this already. He hit off one foot from one foot to the other, and it kind of changed direction. And of course, Pope ran out saying hit it twice, and yeah. Then at that stage, because I didn't know that it was a double touch, I thought they were going to go retake the penalty. But your thoughts on all that mess then at that stage? I was absolutely delighted that we didn't have to, that they didn't get to take it again, and it wasn't counted as a goal. But your thoughts there, Pete?
Well, it was just a whole lot of madness for like 2-3 minutes. Honestly, when the incident with Dan Burn happened, and the pullback, should we say, I thought that was a penalty. And the fact when Sky said it was having a VAR check, I fully expected that when the game stopped, that they would ask the ref to go and take a look. The fact that they said it was complete during the game, I thought we've got away with one there.
Yeah.
And then the second one happened, and I'll be honest with you, when the second one happened, I didn't even see it as being a foul, let alone a penalty. But then when they said that they were still checking it, I thought, oh, is it one of these where they know they've made a mistake with the last one, so they're going to give this one instead?
Yeah.
Right? Because let's not kid ourselves. They do stuff like this when they know they've made an absolute blooper, and they look back after the check's completed and the game's carried on, and they'll go, oh, we messed up here. So they'll give the team another one back that's probably 50-50 just to kind of make up for that. I kind of felt like this is going to be a penalty. And when I looked at it, I still really couldn't see how it was a penalty. I saw Reed go down very easily, like his body position and the way he flew himself to the floor was all a bit over dramatic for me. And I thought the ref might have a bit of backbone and give it as he saw it, which was nothing. But they gave the penalty, and then we got very lucky. In one sense, because even though he intended it to go the way that Pope went, and Pope quite easily could have saved it, which a few in the chat have already mentioned. The double touch, obviously, I've seen it before in matches, played in matches where it's happened. You can't touch the ball twice. It's like I've been in a position myself where I've took a penalty, and it's hit the post and it's come straight back to me, and I've smashed it in and gone off to celebrate. This is when I was younger, and the refs pulled it back and said, you can't touch the ball twice without another person touching the ball. And you're like, damn it. So yeah, the double touch, you can't do it. And when I'd not realised at the time it was a double touch, when they said it, it was like, yeah, it's a free kick. It's the other way. But then I watched the penalty decision back after that, because they played it again on Sky.
Yeah.
And then I looked and I was like, hold on. Reed stood on Trippier's foot. So how can you give it a penalty? Because the first contact that they make is Reed standing on Trippier. And I think that's what, when I've watched it back, I think that's what Trippier's arguing about, saying, look at my foot. Like, he stood on me first. Like, how can you give a penalty like that? Which makes me think even more that they were just trying to give back a decision because they know they made a mistake for the first one. Big up Chris McCarthy. Great to have you on, mate. And yeah, thank you for all your support, and we're here to support you. Great result.
Exactly. Yeah, to round it all up, no goal Fulham, 0-0. And so we really got out of jail there, like, and from we thought we were going to be 1-0 down, thrown on Isaac to try and recover and get a draw. We're back in this. We have to go for broke here, throw everything at it. So then on comes that man Isaac, and will it come off? And we'll go switch it up to kind of like, I'll say 4-4-2 at that stage. But we have Isaac on the pitch, and Wilson staying on as well. So that gets our answer. Are we ever going to see both of them on the pitch at the same time? That was it. That was answered today. We are. So on 73 minutes, Miggy stole the ball, tried to pass it to Wilson. That was unlucky. That didn't work out as well. 76 minutes, ASM shot after a great play by Newcastle. ASM picked it up in the second phase of that play. Then on the 84th minute, off comes Miggy. Murphy came on. Murphy got some nice recoveries there as well, actually, in his time on the pitch, so fair play to him. 88 minutes then, Longstaff crosses it in. Wilson tries to header it down first, but then actually hits it across with his foot, and Isaac knows where to be, and puts it in the back of the net. 1-0 Newcastle on the 88th minute. Absolute delight from us, going mental everywhere. I'm sure everyone watching this was going mental as well. But and even Fulham fans, I'm sure, were going mental as well after what they've been through. But Pete, your thoughts on Isak's goal?
Oh, honestly, I'm so glad that the missus and the kids had just nipped up to the great grandparents during that second half, because when Isak put that ball in the net, I went absolutely mental.
Me too.
I think
You
I
heard
stood
me,
on
actually. You probably heard me.
yeah. I think I stood on a few toys, broke maybe one or two toys, jumping up and down, going absolutely mental. But look, it was a really well worked goal. And you talked about, you know, the change after the penalty miss. We pushed in that second part of the game, and we continued to put them under pressure. And that's probably testament to how we've grown and developed to the team, because we've been in positions like that and still not been able to create many chances, but we continue to push and really put them under pressure. And it's a great ball in from Sean Longstaff, probably one of the best bits of football he's done in the game, to the back post. It was almost like Wilson and Isak had swapped places, that Wilson had kind of veered off to the left, received the ball, got lucky because it bounced off the defender, but the intelligence just to pop it across goal, and Isak being in where he needs to, where it can hurt teams, just to nod that in. It just, you know, it reminded me a little bit of the Denver Bar Papi Cisse link-ups, like back in the day when we finished fifth, like the way they used to play together in link-up, but one off the left, one up top. It had that feeling, the way they celebrated together. You know, you had so many other players like running towards them, but Isak only wanted to celebrate with Wilson, and Wilson only wanted to celebrate with him. And I like that those strikers have got that connection, because of course it's competitive, but at the same time they want to win matches, and they're both fighting for Champions League football together as a team, and it was great to see. Brilliant football, great to see Isak back and scoring goals and doing the biz. What's that, 3 now for this season?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And the thing is, Pete, that was with Ba and Cisse. That was probably the last time we played with 2 up front. You know, it's because it's been 1 up front for so long. Even with Andy Carroll up there for a while. But that was where we were then. And then on the 94th minute, just to kind of waste a bit of time, Wilson came off, Wood came on. That was it. Overall result 1-0 Newcastle. Fulham will think they have been robbed. We definitely got out of jail there. We were peppering their goal for most of the game. We did have an awful lot of the chances, but when they got that the penalty was just, well, we thought it was all over, but it is now. So absolutely delighted. Of course, and then just a few pictures as well. The lads walking off the pitch, clapping the crowd, and the obligatory team photo. And you'll see Bruno there in the middle. Where else would he be? And his foot has some strapping. We have shown another picture of Bruno as well. So that delighted. Still love those pictures every time we see them. But maybe the talking point then, Pete, is Bruno. And Bruno is on crutches and he's in a protective boot at the moment. I'm all precautionary. I'm sure the talk is that he'll go for a scan, Pete, and that he we'll see in the next couple of days what it is, whether it's just a twisted ankle, whether there's any kind of ligament damage or something like that. So should know more in the next day or so, I imagine there. But also, that I think we have to go into the transfer market now. We needed a midfielder before this. We're operating with 3. Now we're down to 2 for potentially for a while. So we need some backup in any case. So we need that midfielder. Your thoughts on Bruno? You probably talked a bit about it already.
Talked a bit about it. It was one of the things that we covered with the Bruno injury. But look, Gary's mentioned on here, and there's a few others. I'll try and get their messages up as well with regards to Bruno. It was a case of, hopefully 1 or 2 midfielders comes in this week. We wish, but yeah, of course, Daz, we need to go into the market. As we touched on, we didn't realise that Anderson he's got a calf injury. You got Bruno out. You got Shelvey out. We need options in that midfield. We've got Palace on Saturday. We've got the semi-final first leg. Then we go to then I think there's a break. Then then the second leg. Then Bournemouth. Then West Ham. They're
West
big
Ham,
games.
Bournemouth, yeah.
Oh, yeah, is it West Ham then Bournemouth? Sorry, I keep getting mixed up.
Right.
West Ham then Bournemouth. So we've got big games coming up. We need to make sure that we're on point and we're flying, and we need that boost because the fans are worried right now. With the situation with Bruno Gamarães. So, look, Bruno's massive to our team. Can we come and bring someone in the next week? Of course we can. I've got no doubts that we know who we're looking for and who we want. It's whether we were playing hardball and wait until later on in the window, which we've already discussed as a loaded on a loaded chat. But I think if Eddie Howe's not having that conversation tonight with the owners to say we need to make a move now for at least one player, I'd be very, very surprised.
Yeah, in our chat we've been talking about. Is it a case of Newcastle not showing their hand because what Chelsea are like? They'll just try and jump in there and snap it up and just slap down another 100 million on top of whoever we potentially look at. But and of course Arsenal now as well. They would not get in Mudryk. They're going to be looking for an option as well. Where I know there's talk with them about Rafinha, I think, but who knows who they go after if we start making moves on someone that they're looking at as well. So that was really it on the review of the match. Let's say a shout out to Warfags as well. We're not here to be popular. We're here to compete. The Eddie Howe quote, another great display from Warflags, as always. And also in the crowd, Richard Masters. What are you doing there? Get out.
How did he get into the stadium is what I want to know. Was it one of those blankets over his head? One of those blankets over his head, like as the car drives up, or did he arrive last night and slept over in the hospitality?
I reckon he came in the way Mourinho comes in and the basket, the clothes basket, snuck in that way. That was interesting to see him there. But that was it for the game. We go to ratings, Pete.
Yeah.
Let's go to ratings. Okay, cool. Let's go for before my internet goes down again. Let's go for first up, Pope, Nick Pope. For me, I mentioned that he was stayed down a bit to get Bruno to get attention. I'm giving him a 7 for Pope. He didn't have much to do.
I thought Pope had another good game, another clean sheet. Used the ball well. I just think he just takes the pressure off defenders. I'm gonna give Pope an 8. Frederick put in here. Funny how Pope got injured when Bruno needed medical attention. I love it because I thought exactly the same.
Yeah, me too.
So smart. The only thing I'd say with Pope is that he needs to be careful. I think he's got 3 or 4 bookings now that already this season just by slowing things down. So I knew what he was doing when Micho was about to take the penalty. He was like standing in front of the ball, and you're kind of saying you're going to get booked now. You're going to get booked. Once the referee turns around, he's going to book you because you're not on your line. It's almost like he's playing for it just to waste that little bit of extra time. But I just don't want him to pick up too many yellow cards that way because he's so important to us. We need him more than ever for the rest of this season because he's just such a great goalkeeper. But yeah, I've gone for an 8, so I'll go with an 8 for Pope.
You always, our ratings are always slightly different because you tend to go higher than I do. But wasn't there 2 balls in the pitch at one stage? Yeah, they were just slowing things down, messing me with their head. But anyway, it worked. Got into Mitros there, head.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Yeah. And it's funny how you mentioned yellow cards. It's great that Trippier and Shard didn't pick up yellow cards because that now we're over halfway, so they wouldn't get an automatic 1-match ban. It stretches out a bit for that, so that's good. But speaking of Trippier, I'm giving Trippier I don't think he had his great game. His crosses weren't great today. Didn't do much from the free kick. One of them was out fairly far, and then another one, Char took a ball. I'm giving Trippier as a 7.
Yeah, I've given Trippier a 7.5. It definitely wasn't his best game. I have to say, yeah, it was a bit all over the place, if I'm honest with you. I think tactically, Fulham dealt with him quite well. They put a player just in that little space where he likes to get forward, like in that defensive space that he needs to get back to occupy. They just put a player in there, so he was almost not sure whether to go or to defend. And there was a little bit of hesitancy in his game. But as you said, Daz, this is the penalty decision aside, because I don't personally think it was a penalty, so not necessarily his fault. But I agree with you. I don't think his crossing was great today. His corners, set pieces. There was someone in the chat, actually, I don't know if I started, that mentioned, has Trippier got a hamstring injury? Because it looked like he had some sort of injury against Leicester. And I thought he was going to come off because I was really worried, because I thought it was a hamstring. He ended up playing on and was absolutely fine. But then he stopped taking set pieces, and maybe he stopped taking them because he wasn't taking them very well. He was struggling, or whether he is kind of nursing an injury at the moment. I don't really know. But yeah, just not his normal game. We still got the clean sheet, but yeah, 7.5 for me.
No, if has got some kind of injury, that okay, we have got Mankio who can play in there. It's going to be a while for Kraft is back, of course, but we're still left open, and we've been talking about a young right back as well. So it's another one for the. It could be a busy week for Dan Ashford and the transfer centre. We will see. We'll be all over that if it is, though. Right, let's move on, and we'll go to Shar. As I said, he avoided the yellow card. I thought he was another great, solid game for Shar, bringing the ball out as well, as always. He didn't go down touching his head today. That was the difference for me. Every other game he gets a head injury, because I'm ready to send it, put it in our chat, Shar, and the bandage head thing. But no, he didn't have one today. He did get a touch on the foot at one stage, but not his head. So that's good. But I'm giving him an 8.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I thought I'd give him an 8. He was very, very good today. You could see in the first part of the first half, Mitro, like so many other strikers do, they lean on Shaw as if he's the least capable defender out of the two, and then they quickly realise actually he's just as good in the air. He's just as good, if not better, on the ball. They really struggled. They really struggled. So I was how thought he could get the better of Shaw, and he actually didn't. I thought Shaw had a really, really good game. So yeah, I'll go with that.
Cool. I think you're getting some of my broadband there, Pete. You're kind of breaking up as well. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Right, but yeah, we'll move on to Botman. Again, Botman solid as always. I love the way as well. I just think, why don't teams just press on them? Because they always sit back. Maybe it's because they're away side, they're sitting back a bit, but he's playing beautiful passes again and moving up and trying to find that through ball. Botman, I'm giving him an 8.
Yeah, I'll give him an 8 as well. Botman, again, faultless, played very, very well today. Wasn't willing to let Mitrovic dominate and be overly physical like he normally does with centre backs. He's bullied centre backs in games this season. Mitrovic, he didn't today. And you could see Mitrovic getting frustrated in the first half, because Mitrovic is improved in terms of his pressing, but he can't press those two centre-backs because they're too good on the ball. They made him run back and forth to each other. They were just playing the ball. You could see in the end, after about 10 minutes, he just gave up chasing. He just gave up running for the ball because he knew he was never going to win the ball off those two because they're so good on it. And in the end, he just sat deep and stopped them building into midfield, which caused a problem for us once Bruno got injured. But it was very, very well marshalled by our two centre backs, and they deserve exactly the same score because they were both very good. And look, I'll just add in there because someone put it in the chat earlier. Stephen King. We've conceded 11 all season. Is that now 11 clean sheets, if I'm right in thinking? If I'm right in thinking, I think that might be 10 or 11 clean sheets for Nick Pope. Sven Botman still hasn't lost the game. Shaw still hasn't, I think, lost the game this season. Botman hasn't lost the game in the Premier League this season still. Absolutely flying, solid as a rock, those two. Great to see.
No, yeah, exactly, Pete. And our defense has been absolutely immense this season. Our back five, really. But yeah, let's move on then. We'll go to Byrne. And you know what? It would be rude not to give Dan Byrne an 8 as well for me. I think he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't score like he did the other day. That would have been nice. But apart from that, he didn't do anything wrong. So I'm giving Byrne an 8. Again, another solid performance by our left back. He is our left back. I don't think the target is getting in there anytime soon when he is back.
You know what? I wouldn't change him. I wouldn't replace him. I thought he had another good solid game today. Not much at all got down that side. Very, very solid. He's trying. You can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to build and be part of the build-up moving further forward. He's trying to adapt that side to his game. Because I think he's got the defensive side nailed down, his positioning, supporting Botman. But I think he's trying to push forward and be that additional attacking influence. You can see he's overlapping more. Before he would stay back as more of a solid defender, he's overlapping. He's trying to get forward into the box, and I respect that because that's not really been part of his game. But even at 30, 31, he's still trying to develop and be better. Deserves a 7. He is our left back. You're absolutely right, Dad. He is our left back, and until someone comes in and puts better performances in than Dan Byrne, he'll stay that way. No doubt about it.
No, and he deserves it for sure. Right, let's get on to the midfield. So first up is Bruno. Now, for me, Bruno, I think everyone, Bruno's game was ruined because of him going over his ankle. It wasn't anyone else's fault either. It was just the way it happened. So look, and there is a question that we took earlier. Why should he not have been subbed earlier? We just wish him well, that he gets back quick, that the scan goes okay, and if he does have to miss a game, that it's only one, though, because we need him back ASAP. We still need to bring in someone. We need Bruno back as well. But I'm going to give him a 6, but it's not. It's just because he couldn't really do anything really. So 6 for Bruno, but it's because of the injury.
For Bruno, I'd probably give him a 7, 7 and 7.5. I just think for me, he still had a great game up until he got injured, and even after that, he was still.
He did try,
still trying to get on the ball. 7.5 for that half's performance, but obviously, of course. The injury did disrupt things. I think we'd have probably won things more comfortably had he been on the pitch and fit, in my opinion. But 7.5.
Well, Longstaff up next. Look, he was all over the place. I saw the picture of his heat map there in the game after the game. He set up the cross the ball in for Wilson to knock down to Isaac. And so I'm going to give him a 7.5 for Longstaff.
I think up until he played the ball for the goal, I was probably going to give him a 7, but I'll probably go with you is in a 7.5. That moment effectively won the game, and he played a big part in that. It was a nice ball in, but he was incredibly frustrating today. Sean Longstaff, he needs to get his shooting boots on. It's frustrating because he's finding great positions to score goals better than anyone else on the pitch. He's arriving in really good positions, but his final ball, his shot, his cross, his pass is not right. And he needs to work on that. And this is another reason why we need to dip into the transfer market, because if we've got the will and the want to be fighting in the top 4, top 5, top 6, we need clinical players, and unfortunately he's not. He's a workhorse. He will run. He covered every blade of grass again, and he has done every time he puts on a Newcastle United shirt, and you cannot fault that. But at some point you've got to look at the quality output of the player, and sometimes it's just not enough. That 0.5 gets him that because of that ball in today. That's what we want to see more often, that ball into the box that creates moments. So 7.5 just for me, but he's got massive improvements he needs to. We bigged him up, Daz.
We did.
We bigged him up before,
for an England cap of potential, and like one just for the for the crack.
And we didn't say for the World Cup. We didn't say
no.
We said he would be on the radar for Southgate. And I still think he is, but he needs to be having better moments in front of goal and creating more moments for other players if he's going to be considered an England international.
Yeah, the Leicester game, he could have had a hat trick in the first 30 minutes, something there, but definitely the first half. But today, the first one, and I mentioned at the start, that was blocked on him, so it was potentially going in. So, but just I definitely agree with you on if he could finally shoot, because he was someone at the start. If you remember that game against Bournemouth when he came onto the scene, and I know when he went on loan to Blackpool as well, he was scoring goals for fun for a while. But he needs to find that again. Anyway. On to Joe Willock. Joe Willock again, another good game for me. I'm gonna give him. I was surprised really that Willock got taken off and it wasn't Longstaff, to tell you the truth. But I understand that as well. Even he wanted to have someone more defensive in there. When you're going in the 4-4-2 option, but I'm giving Willock 7.5 as well.
Yeah, I probably agree with you. 7.5. Yeah, I thought Willock, he was outstanding against Leicester, and he was outstanding against Arsenal. Not maybe at that sort of level today, but I thought he still had another good game. So I would I give him that. He's building that level of consistency up now, which is good to see, and he looks dangerous coming off that left when him and Joelinton switch. So a good performance.
Cool. Let's move on to Miggy. The press as always, the pace, forcing errors, interceptions. I thought Miggy was class today, as always. Really, I'm going to give him an 8.5.
Yeah, Miggy, very, very good today. I'll probably give him an 8. I thought he had a good game today. Didn't really have too many moments in front of goal where he could actually score, but he was a constant threat down that side. Constantly caused Kazawa problems. He won't play against many better players in the league on that side of the pitch than he did with Almiron today, and he was all over the place for the majority of that game that he was on. So I give him an 8.
And of course, that left back got a yellow card second half, I think, and they thought that he would Miggy might put him under a bit more pressure then, but didn't happen after that. Anyway, we move on. Let's go to J7. I thought J7 right from the kickoff, he was going for it. He was out to impress. He was trying to make up for what happened during the week, and he win the ball back. I thought he was class. Don't remember him as so much towards the end of the game, but for the first 70 minutes, I thought he was class. I'm giving him an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna give. Joelinton, is that right?
Yeah.
Joelinton. I'll probably give my man in the match, to be honest. I'll give him a 9.5. I thought he was brilliant today. I thought he was all over the place, breaking down any attacks that Fulham had. trying to produce and move the ball forward in attacking areas, linking off that left-hand side with Alice at Maxim, particularly in the second half, really trying to force the player and make something happen. I think it felt like he had something to prove today, and he certainly did. I thought he had a really good game. And normally, obviously, he's got his best mate next to him in Bruno, but even without him, he almost, it was almost like when we lost Bruno, he rose to the challenge of trying to be that one, to try and take that leadership role and take charge in that midfield. And I felt he did that, and he won the battle. We haven't talked about Fulham players. Palinia, good player. Didn't really have a great game against us. He had a couple of good tackles. One on Isaac, I think one on ASM, two good tackles in the second half. Other than that, you don't really remember him playing. So he managed to keep a player of his ability quiet. So my man of the match, 9.5. I'll give Joelinton.
Yeah, no, I agree. Man of the match as well for me. And of course, he played in like 3 kind of different positions, because he started off up top. Then he when ASM come on, he switched to midfield, and then he used to normally swap him with Willock anyway in on that side. But then when he switched to kind of a more 4-4-2, he it's slightly this different role as well. So it's probably why you didn't see as much of him then towards the end of the game. And he's always tracking back. So yeah, man of the match for me as well, Joelinton. Last of the 11 that started the game, Wilson. I'm giving Wilson an 8. Now, I have been kind of saying in our own chat that we haven't seen Wilson score since the Aston Villa game, and we still haven't seen him score. But I've seen a better performance from him today than I had recently, and of course he got the assist for Isaac's goal. So I'm going to give him an 8.
Yeah, I'm going to give. I'm going to give Wilson an 8.5. He got the assist that helped us win the game. But yeah, I do think his all-round play was good today. There's a little bit of link-up play with various different midfielders was good. At times, their centre-backs were chasing shadows with him. They didn't know whether to stay with him, whether to mark him. Was really, really good. And he held up the ball better than he had in previous games for me. Arsenal wasn't great for Callum Wilson, but he held up the ball far better today and allowed us to push forward. And actually, on another day, probably could have scored a couple of goals or a couple of pullbacks for him that maybe if he'd have dealt with them a little bit better or took the chance a little bit earlier, he could have got a goal. But he's going in the right direction. Look, we know Callum Wilson will be back to scoring goals soon. There's no doubt about it. He's a goal scorer. But we need to provide him with the chances. That's our issue. So let's see. But yeah, 8.5 for me.
Yeah, perfect. No, that's fair enough. Look, we don't normally mark the subs, but because they had played a big influence, I think we probably should tonight, Pete. You good with that?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay. Right, for Maxi. I thought when Maxi came on, he tried his best. He got involved straight away, came on, of course, at half-time. He hasn't been playing for a while. I'm going to give him a 7.5 for Maxi. And I'll go straight to Isaac as well. Isaac obviously coming on whatever merit I said earlier. And yeah, got the goal, knew where to be, got a few runs as well he tried to make. I'm going to give him an 8. I'm going to give Isaac an 8 for the goal and for giving us the 3 points and allowing us to stay in the top 3 in the race to the Champions League.
Yeah, I'd probably give ASM an 8. I thought he was very good in the second half. I think everybody can see there's a change in his game. You could see that, and you cannot, influence a game to show your true ability when you're getting 4 minutes here, 10 minutes there, coming on a sub. He got a full 45 minutes to show what he was about, and I thought he played well. I thought he was using his skills well. I thought he linked up the play well. I thought he made, in some cases, good decisions on playing the ball and finding the man rather than kind of taking it on his own. But I do worry about it, that I do think that sometimes he's trying to impress by doing that too much. There was a time where he ended up playing it across. He was running in diagonal towards goal at 0-0. And instead of going on his own and taking a shot, I think he put a left-footed cross ball
Yes.
and no one was there. And I'm
Yeah.
at the TV, I'm screaming at him, saying, "Go on your own, go for the man." And you know, a couple of years ago, he'd have gone for the man, took him on, and took a shot. And it's like he's just trying to find that balance of, you know, should I do that individual stuff that made me so great, or
Yeah.
should I do stuff for
I've
the
no,
team? And it's
I've
kind
noticed
of
that as well, Pete. That
yeah.
and we've seen that when he came on as well before. He was just like there was like about 3 or 4 moves, and he's passed it every time. You go, oh, Maxi doesn't normally do that. He would pass 1 in 4 times, not 3 or 4 times in the 4 times. You know,
But this,
so he
sorry,
needs to
God,
mix it up. Yeah, he does probably needs to mix it up now as well.
this is what I worry about with ASM is that we've called for him to be more of a team player, and he's trying to be a team player. He's trying to incorporate himself to be a part of this team. You know, you can see him running and chasing and tackling back late on in the game because, you know, we're winning and we've got something to hold on to, and he's tracking back and he's doing all the things that we're asking him to do, which is great. But equally, we want him to still keep that individuality about what made Alan St-Maximin so great, which is his ability to get the ball and take on to a 3-man and get a shot on and goal or create some sort of magic moment. And I don't want him to dilute that because that's what makes him so unique. That's what makes him Alan St-Maximin. So we've got to, you know, well, it's not we. Eddie Howe's got to find a balance, like you just said, Daz, in making sure that fits right. So
Is
look,
it a case of and I didn't think I'd ever be saying this, but is it a case of he needs a bit of confidence again?
yeah, Daz, he's not started a game since August in the Premier League. You know, Wolves was the last game he started in the Premier
Yeah, and
League.
he scored that wonder goal then.
Yeah, he's, you know, and that was when he was on fit and firing on top form, where he's confident and defenders were scared of him. He's not up to full fitness yet, and you know he's not played competitive football regularly for a while now. So it's going to take time in his mind to be ready to and raring to go. So yeah, there will be a level of confidence about him. So you know the only way we can do that is by giving him minutes and. You know, I think over the next few weeks he will get the minutes he needs to show that he should be starting. So,
And hopefully he takes the chances now that are going to be coming his way, and all the better for us if it does, because a fit and firing ASM is a massive asset to our team. But yeah, that's ASM. Did you give a rating for Isak?
9 for me.
9.
I thought Isak was brilliant when he came on. He's just class. He's just a quality player.
Yeah.
You know, his ability to run with the ball at pace, his ability to commit defenders, the little kind of like nutmeg move inside that he loves to do, and he gets the defenders every time. His movement off the ball is just as good as Callum Wilson's, and what I love about him is what he offers that probably Wilson doesn't now at his age is his ability to run in behind. He's always looking for that run. There was one time where he was on and the ball needed to be played in and he made the run, and I think it might have been Joelinton or Sean Longstaff that they decided to hold the ball and just kind of play it side to side. And that's something that's going to need to be worked on because he's got that in his locker. We don't play that way with Callum Wilson, but we can play that way with Alexander Isak, and he offers something a little bit different. And look, his movement and his ability to find space, where they added a third centre back, by the way. Adebayo, Tosin Adebayo.
Tosin,
yeah, can't pronounce
guy
his
we
name.
looked at, we talked on one of the transfer windows before, yeah.
In January. He came on, and I was surprised, to be fair, that he started on the bench, but he came on as a third centre-back. So to be able to find space in the box to score that goal with the amount of players that they threw on at the back there it's just quality. He's just such a good player, and you know, the more he plays, the better we will be as a team. Because look, I'm still confident. We talked about it before, Daz. I'm still confident that both Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak will finish with double figures this season.
Cool. We are miles behind in the chat. It's no fault. It's no fault to you, Pete. It's my fault. I'm the opposite of Bruno. I started really got a knock at the start, but I've recovered and I still I'm still on. So take that, Bruno. What was I going to say? Yeah. Look at you must. General question before, because I know you think started as well, and we're miles behind the chat. But you must be absolutely sick if you're a Fulham fan tonight. After that, though, you know we had the better chances, and we had more chances, obviously, and in everything. But they had the penalty, and it just made a mess of it. And if they got the penalty, I think we probably would have come back and got a draw. But yeah, but you must be absolutely sick.
Look, it's the one thing about football is that you would much rather be on the positive end of that type of result than on the other end of it, where you're losing a goal late on. Now, what I will say is that fair play to Fulham. They played well. They weren't like Leeds, where Leeds just came in and sat in and just hoped for a draw. Fulham actually came out and tried to cause us a few problems. Now, we dealt with those problems, but at times they look tricky and they've got players that could cause us problems. So fair play to Fulham from that perspective. I did actually tweet out to Emilio, who came on the show from Cottage Talk away days, and just said, fair play, you guys must be proud, blah, blah, blah. And he came back and he was quite respectful, to be fair. He said, you guys deserve to win the game. He said, you guys deserve to win the game. You're the better team. Obviously, from his perspective, they're gutted to lose it the way they did with a late goal and the fact that they threw away the penalty chance, which you can understand. We would have been exactly the same. But you know what? Fair play to him. He didn't have to be respectful like that, but fair play to Emilio, because he watched the game. He obviously understands football like we do. And he was very, very respectful from that point of view. So, and I think he's right. If I'm right in thinking, Chris put something in our chat. I think we had 63% possession in the game.
Yeah.
I don't think Hope actually had a save to make from any Fulham player in the game. And I don't think they even had a shot on target throughout the whole of the 90 minutes. So, someone else put in the chat as well earlier on. I'll try and see if I can find it. Is that, it's from Steve Nutkin. Sorry, Daz, 1 second. From Steve Nutkin, it says, Fulham nearly got 3 points with 0 shots on goal and less than 30% possession. So, from that point of view, they put another point at the end of that we could probably talk about in a bit. But the fact that they had 0 shots on target and less than 30% possession, they could have still won the game, which is mad.
I know, it is crazy. Our chances, though, we didn't have that many clear-cut chances. Like, I ran through them there earlier on, but there wasn't, until Isak came on, I guess, as well, and we were going gung-ho then, and with 2 up top, then we started to get more shots on. But you're right. The Fulham didn't try threaten us that much, but look at. Hey, we won the game. That's all that matters now at this stage, and keeps our run going, because you would be I think tonight would have been totally different. We would have been talking about have the wheels come off the bus here now with Bruno being injured, and we haven't got 2 draws in the league, and then if we didn't get the win today, is it kind of a bit of decline in our league form, and then maybe is our only hope the cup. And when I say the only hope, because getting into the Champions League, it's like Mike Ashley, it's like winning a trophy as well, for us. But should we go to some questions, Peter, or comments that you probably have started along the way?
Yeah, we can do. I think that there's quite a few in there. There's one from Bobby, actually, we'll start with. I didn't see this personally. He said, did you see Isak's little celebration with ASM? They look like they get on really well together. I personally didn't see that. I don't know if you caught that, Daz.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see if it was on Sky. Maybe it was from someone else's clip or something else. I didn't see it on Sky anyway. It doesn't surprise me that they have a good relationship. I think all the players have a good relationship, but there are certain players that the squad tend to kind of, attract themselves to, and ASM is one of them. Every player you speak to, or gets interviewed, talks about how much respect and how much they like Alan St. Maximin.
So it doesn't surprise me that they've built up a little bit of a friendship. And let's be honest, like they haven't really up until recently been able to train together or play together. So we might see a little bit of a connection there between Maxi, Isaac, and Wilson moving forward. So let's see. I mean, they've had a little bit of time to get to know each other on the treatment table, both of them. So maybe that's where the bond has come from. We don't know.
Exactly. But yeah, another dimension, and it takes the pressure off others as well. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out in the coming games. Anthony, last beat.
There's loads. Let me well, firstly, of course, don't forget to click that subscribe button, the thumbs up. It's free and it helps the channel. And while you're there, click that subscribe button. We're already at 5.03 subscribers, so we're moving already to 5,100 subscribers already. Moving towards that 6,000 target, which is coming up next. So thank you for your support. Anyone that's new in the chat, and I think there's a few that are new today, click that subscribe button, come and join the Loaded family. That is for sure. I think we touched on this before. Peter Gold, welcome to the channel. So Micho was aiming for the left-hand corner, and Pope guessed correctly, but when the ball hit Micho's foot, the ball was redirected to the right-hand side. Pope may have saved it, which I think is what referring to. I think we touched on that already, but yeah, it was an interesting situation that I'm glad went our way. That's for sure. Tom mentions here, interesting one, Daz. The top four is so tight right now, but Man United have some tough games coming up. I don't know if you want to bring the table up again, or I'll bring it up. As you can see, it is really, really tight.
Yeah. Isn't it great as well? I think Chris had it in his tweet earlier, where Man City lost, Liverpool lost, Spurs lost. Both playing Arsenal today, but no, it is really bunched. And when you look down the bottom as well, it's really bunched down there as well. So it makes for interesting viewing for everybody, really. Like Arsenal do look like they're going to run away with it now. That will tighten up at the top again. But yeah, you're right there. Yeah, really, really bunched there. Look at all that. And if you look at, you can't see the goal difference there, but Bournemouth have a desperate goal difference. So it's you can see a big club going down. Whether it be West Ham, Everton, Southampton as well, who are doing well in the cup, as we know, but that will run out soon, hopefully. Interesting, very, very interesting. And look, Leicester are still in the mix there. They're only 2 points out of it. Like
what's crazy? What's crazy about it, Daz? You look at that. You look at. I'll just move that up slightly. You look. Anybody from Leeds down to Southampton,
Forest as well,
or even Forest. I mean, Forest are 3 points clear of Leeds. Like, who would have thought? Regardless of how many players have signed and how much money they've spent, who would have thought Forest, after 19 games, would be 13th on 20 points and ahead of the likes of Leicester, Wolves, West Ham, Everton, Southampton? Like, who would have thought that? Like, everyone had them odds on being relegated because they'd spent so much and they pretty much bought a brand new squad of players. And, we've seen Fulham do that previously twice and go down. We've seen other teams do it in fold, and it's crazy. But they've got a little bit of daylight there, so I'm not even adding Forest right now. No doubt they'll drop, but anyone from Leeds downwards, that's going to be like a yo-yo from week to week. One like Leeds could be in the bottom three, by the next time the round of fixtures play. Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
And of course, with Forest, they have Steve Cooper, and he's doing really well for them. And he's still in the League Cup as well. So it's like, who's to say it's not a Newcastle Forest final yet? Could be. You never know. You never know. Whether they've picked it up a bit. Like, cause remember the first game of the season, they didn't even know, players didn't even know each other. They had no gel. They were adding a player a day at one stage. It was absolutely crazy. In right before the end of the transfer window. But at least we're not in that mix. We don't have to worry about that anymore. And if you look at our points, we're 2 points off being safe. Or people were saying as well. But
Daz, I don't know about you. I'm just looking at this. Like, what are your thoughts about the Liverpool Chelsea situation? So, like, I'm just kind of circling them there, 9th and 10th on the table, mid-table teams at the moment. You know, halfway through the season, 10 points clear. Newcastle are of both teams. You know, do you think? Like, do you think that's too much for them to claw back, considering the seasons that they're having, or do you think Newcastle still need to be aware of them going into the second half of the season in terms of having like a kind of another kind of great run in order to claw it back? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I definitely think we need to be aware of them and everyone else above that as well, because like Bruno, we don't know what the story is of Bruno, and he's integral to our team. As well as getting Bruno back as quick as possible, when a proper fit Bruno back, and we also need to add to our squad. And we needed another midfielder anyway before Bruno got injured. Maybe we need two now. But so yeah, it is. If we go and dip in form, it is possible for them to claw us back a bit. So we have to be mindful of it. Liverpool, they're missing Van Dijk for a while. Then they didn't click against Brighton. They got walloped by Brighton 3-0. Who in Brighton are on fire actually. That's one we need to keep an eye on. But again, we'll have to play them again all as well. So it is possible to tighten up. And it's great because look, I don't mind Arsenal beating Spurs today, because our competition is to stay in that top four, and ideally finish above Man United, but they have a game in hand. Yeah, so we do need to be wary of them, Pete. But there's more than them we need to be wary of as well. And it's just as well we got the results against Fulham today, because as he said last night, Fulham are having a decent season. They're really didn't think they'd be anywhere near there.
No, I agree. They're having a great season and deserve to be where they are right now. But you're right, Brighton, the ones we need to keep an eye on outside of that traditional top six. Brentford are not too far behind them. They have good moments, but they also have moments where they can have poor performances. We beat them 5-1 at our place, and they have that ability about them. Whereas Brighton look like they're pretty strong at the moment. The point that you made before we move on, absolutely right. I was quite comfortable with an Arsenal win today. The more that Tottenham lose, and the more that we can capitalise on that and keep that gap wider and wider, which means we've got a little bit of room to manoeuvre in terms of points. In order to keep ourselves solidified in that top four. That's the key for us right now. The bigger the gap we can keep between fifth and us, the better. Whoever's in fifth, as long as we keep that gap nice and wide, and it keeps them having to claw back, then I'm happy with that, without a doubt. But
another one, Pete, to keep an eye on is Aston Villa, because they're sitting there in 11th position, but Unai Emery has got them playing now as well. So it's going to be a different kind of a fixture when we play them as well. So I always like to beat Villa. But yeah, so just keep an eye on them. They'll start to move up the table, because again, it's bunched there. There's only like 4 points between them and Brentford, So yeah, it's all to play for.
13 points behind is Villa. 13 points. So there is still a sizable gap, but you're right. We need to keep an eye on that. And just to add into that, next weekend we go to Selhurst Park, so we go to Palace, who are in 12th, but equally, Man United go to Arsenal.
We're all Arsenal for that game.
There you go. So if we win that, that could quite easily then solidify us. And if I'm right in thinking, you guys in the chat might know more. Do Man City play Tottenham? I think Man City play Tottenham next.
Not sure.
So if anyone, if you can find it, or anyone in the chat can confirm that, I'm pretty sure the next game is that we go to Selhurst Park. Man U go to Arsenal, and I'm pretty sure that Tottenham play Man City. So again, we win. Man City win, Arsenal win. Yes, those two are in front of us. but that just solidifies our place.
Pete, it's actually it's next week. It's a midweek game. So on Wednesday, Palace play Man United on Wednesday at 8 o'clock at the 18th of January, and on the Thursday, the 19th of January, Man City play Spurs. So that doesn't leave that doesn't leave Crystal Palace much time before they play us either, because we're playing them on the Saturday then. So they're going Wednesday, Saturday, for Crystal Palace, and they're both their games are on Sky in this week. But yeah, that's your question. Man City play Spurs, and as you said, then the following weekend on the Sunday, the 22nd, Arsenal play Man United.
Wow, massive.
And Fulham on the Monday night football on the 23rd of January, Fulham play Spurs. So come on, Fulham on that one.
I tell you what, you know what? Honestly, we've got a real opportunity. We've got, as you just said, we've got Palace. Then we have. Do you say we've got West Ham and then Bournemouth? Is our
we've
next
got Palace. Okay, if we just concentrate on the league, we've got Palace, then the 2 cup games. Then we got West Ham, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Brighton, Man City.
Okay, so in isolation, Palace, West Ham, Bournemouth. That's 9 points there to really stretch that gap where teams around us are playing each other. That's a massive opportunity. It's these games. Look, the Brighton at home, still winnable. They're a good team, but the last couple of years we've had a decent record against them at our place, certainly last season. So we've got an opportunity there to really kind of go at Brighton and win that. But obviously Liverpool, we owe them one big time. But in those first 3 games in isolation, we've got an opportunity to get 9 points to really stretch that gap. And I tell you what, if we can get those 9 points, that would stand us in that. For me, that's a massive statement of our intent for Champions League football, in my opinion, because all the teams around us are going to be dropping points, and we're going to maximise that massively. But yeah, let's wait and see.
I'm just going to answer Chris McCarthy's question here, asking how many times loaded the shows are on each week. Sometimes it seems like every day, but it's not every day. We have a review show. We have an away days show before the game. We have a review show. We have a fully loaded transfer show. So you talk, and we might have a loaded magazine. You're talking potentially about 3, maybe 4 shows a week, depending on what kind of. And if there's a sign-in, there'll be a reaction show to a sign-in as well. So or a sale as well. So keep your eye on, subscribe, set on the notifications, and keep an eye on Twitter. And we'll pop up there. But so massive. And just going back to what you're talking about the table again, Pete, that's why it's so important now that we hear what is the story with Bruno, and also what is the story of bringing in our midfielder into there, because as you said, there's 9 points up for grabs there in those particular games.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Daz. And look, John Noble is coming with that point as well. Just going from work, so missed the show up to now. Just Bruno's injury mean that we'll be back in for Maddison and Tielemans. Now, not necessarily Maddison and Tielemans, but look, Daz, surely that means we need to go searching for a midfielder in the next week or so.
Oh, definitely, and the other names that I mentioned in the last little while, Ruben Neves and SMS from Lazio as well. So yeah, there we go. Who knows? And it could be someone else totally left field. Like, we weren't talking about those guys last week. We are this week, or we will be on the Fully Loaded Transfer Show, and whatever else pops up. I think anything could happen.
Interesting, this one, Chris. UK Essex. I read earlier that Rodrigo De Paul is out of favour with Diego Simeone. Would give both would give both my balls was to throw a cheeky option to buy on the table. Look, I have to be honest.
Yeah, he was very good at the World Cup.
He was outstanding for Argentina in the World Cup as that defensive midfielder. He was the pardon the pun, he was the ball breaker in that midfield. He stopped anything from happening from the opposition. And although he's not maybe as eloquent on the ball as Bruno Gamarães. He allows the other players to get forward and do the business. The likes of McAllister, for example, at Brighton, allowed him to get forward and into the box because the Paul just kind of mop things up. Who knows? As Daz just said, who knows who we could be linked with. But
just on that, DePaul, I remember hearing Paul, the Toon Review Paul, talking about DePaul, and he was praising. But I think he just really wants to put DePaul on the back of his jersey. That's probably why he wants him in there. But watch out for that if that happens. But
definitely, there's one here from Jordan Mawson. Is there any youth players that could come in? I don't know of anyone that is good enough to step into that situation. I mean, obviously we've got Elliot Anderson, but he's injured at the moment. I don't see that personally. I don't know if you feel any different, Dad.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Not in the midfield. You know, it's not a position you can just kind of throw someone into either. And it's not there are key games coming up for us. Because we're soon then after those 3 games we're heading into Liverpool and Man City. So we need to be getting the points in those 3 games, and we have the cup games as well. That's going to make or break our season as well. So I think it's going to be a case of we need to dip into the transfer market. And the games are going to come thick and fast, like as well. So we need to rotate a bit. So all to play for the sake of a couple of million, go out and buy a midfielder. Look at Chelsea spend that on their breakfast these days. So why one midfielder and keep us going, keep our season alive.
Within 24 hours, they agreed a deal, flew him in, had a medical, and presented him to the to the fans. It's crazy how quick they work. Fair play to them; they're very efficient in the way they work, but they needed to get that deal done quickly. There's still loads more comments and various other things. Richie, glad to see you in the chat. Hope you well, fellow. I think this was during the talk about Reed and the penalty, the second penalty that was given a penalty. I think he agrees with this. Definitely wasn't a foul. Stood on trips. And he mentioned that West Ham threatened to disrupt the Big Six last season and were 4th. I don't know whether it was after 19 games, but yeah, they were up there challenging 100%. So I think they ended up finishing 6th or 7th for that season, last season. But yeah, I thought there was another team. I wasn't sure if it was Leicester. Some people did say it was Leicester, but looks like it was West Ham. There were some other ones as well. After Hendrick's double for QPR, sell Hendrick to Chelsea for 75 million. That wouldn't be bad. Good old Jeff Hendrick.
Yeah, convince them.
Yeah.
If we just say Arsenal are bidding for him, they might jump in. You never know.
Yeah, that's what they normally do. I don't know if you saw that. You probably did. Lisa's put in the interview with Bruno and his family before the game. Just can't stop my admiration.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
It was class. With the walk of the dogs and his fiance as well, and just kind of giving another insight into Bruno. I think we'd be all gutted if he ever left, but hopefully it'll never happen. If we get the Champions League football the next season or the season after, it definitely won't be happening. He'd be going nowhere. He looks really settled in with his family and Matteo over, and his dad is become a local celebrity as well. So I think it's all adding up from it. It's all in place. I don't know what he could get anywhere else than he can that he has at Newcastle at the moment.
No, definitely. Richie's just put in the chat that he messaged me a picture. I'd love to look at it, Rich, but I've turned my internet off just so I can be on the show. Because my internet's as bad as Daz is right now, and I can't even open up the picture. It's that bad. So we're having massive internet problems. But I'll as soon as it comes up, I'll try and get it on so we can flick it onto the screen. Typical Wi-Fi day for both of us. We've already touched on this, but yeah, I'll ask you again, Daz. Maxi played well. I think there's a lot of people tonight praising Anisette Maximin because they've seen him now play a little bit longer, saying that he had a good game. I know you kind of mentioned you said he
Yeah.
played well coming on, but is it right that he's getting this sort of praise for coming on and affecting the game the way he did?
Why not? Look at we all well. Some people would be quick to jump if he wasn't playing well. So why not praise him? It wasn't just a cameo role or 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the game. He played the second half, and he did well when he come on. And we talked already about he's passing the ball more so than taking people on himself. Now maybe he needs just to mix it up and goes back to a bit of both. But yeah, we all want to see him back to his best. We want him to see him taking a shot and just testing the keeper as well. He did have one shot and he just went wide in the game, if I remember as well. But no, he needs some game time as well. He may get that now, depending on what the story is with Bruno and how quickly we can get a replacement in. And if we bring in a midfielder from somewhere, Eddie Howe is just going to throw them straight in. He's going to give them a bit of time and start them, give them minutes and build up that way. So we need Maxi. We need Maxi to be fighting, to be going full cylinders for the remainder of the season, because the jury is still out. I said I'd give him the season, and I'd comment then on what we do then. But he's got a lot to do. So
yeah, absolutely right to withhold that judgment. It's the same with any player. We withhold the judgment and see how they perform when given the opportunity, but over the course of a full season. A couple of other points. This one from Philip Ray. Welcome, Philip Ray, member of the channel. Richard Masters was guest of Amanda and Mirdad. I think there's been lots of different points raised on the back of this. First of all, why is he here? Daz, you've already mentioned about how he may have got into the stadium. But yeah, why was he there?
I don't know. There's another picture with Amanda and Richard Masters pointing up in the sky. And I put it up on Twitter, saying, "If you have to be here, that's where you're sitting, up in level 7. So get out of here. Goodbye." But yeah, I don't know. Look, in one way though, it is good that the owners have a relationship with the Premier League. It's not a frosty one, because they're going to have to work together as well. But yeah, there's a long history there, as we all know. Well, look, it's in the past now. It's done just where we're in a different place, so we'll move on.
Yeah, definitely. Just another one from Stephen King. We haven't conceded at home since the 8th of October versus Brentford. Wow, that's absolutely class. Absolute quality. Chris Hall, where's he tonight? Where is he? Derek thinks he's probably sleeping and being kept awake by those awful fireworks.
He can't get out of his house. He's been barricaded in. He has to move these bollards out of the way so he can get out of his house. It's been a nightmare in around Liverpool. No, I think he ditched us for food again.
Initially, it was meant to be a Sunday roast. Then it was a takeaway. Now it could be anything. I have no idea.
Could be beans and toast at this stage.
Yeah,
I think he's
probably. But yeah, it's not even double ditched now. It's treble ditched, isn't it?
Yeah,
treble ditched. But yeah, look, no doubt Chris will be back on very, very soon. Rich Joblin, great to see you in the chat. Dan Burn was excellent today. Trippier off, and Shaw needs to cut out going long so often from the back. I would agree with all of those points. The only thing I'll say is that Shaw at times needed to go long because it was the only option. They cut off the midfield, those balls into midfield really well. But would you agree with that, Daz?
Yeah, I know. On Botman as well, he tried to play it through the middle and was cut off a few times as well. Once where it was kind of a bit of a counter attack then, but no, they were trying to go through them, and they needed to find some way in. But yeah, no, Fulham did well. And it's only when we went to the 4-4-2 that and with Isak on that we could try and really get it around them and get a clear chance, I guess.
Definitely. Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. There was a good point here from Adam Bailey. Welcome, Adam Bailey, to the chat. These are the games that will get us Champions League football, not the 3 or 4-0 games, the ones where we grind the team down. I'll ask you, Daz, do you remember the season we finished 5th? I can remember us
Pardew.
winning 1-0 so often under Pardew.
Yeah.
So the one that sticks out for me is QPR at home later on in the season. It was a dreadful, boring game. It was on Sky Sports, but we never looked like losing it. And all it was, we just needed one goal to win the game. We managed to find. I can't remember who scored. I don't even know who it was that scored, but so we managed to get one goal. I think it might have been one of the defenders. Scored really I think it might have been into the second half, and we end up winning the game 1-0. It's those grinding results. Like, you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%, Pete. No, I don't remember the match you're talking about. I do remember that season where then we went and we only bought Vernon and Anita as our only summer signing. We had something to build on, and we didn't build on it. That's Mike Ashley. But no, I kind of link it back to Man United, really. You know, they're always the classic ones they haven't played well and they still get the result, or they're 0-0 and they get the result in Fergie time. We're having a bit of that about us this season, and long may it continue as we get through the season like that. So but yeah, it wasn't champagne football today, and there wasn't goals going flying in, but we got over the line, we got the result. I did think it was going to be another draw for a good while. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to filter out now, and Bruno out. So I was getting a bit depressed about that, but now we're back up on again. Hopefully Bruno will be back dancing again tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully it's all a precaution and nothing too serious. Interesting one here, actually, from Rich Joelinton again. Do we think Isak may start the next game with getting a goal and drop Wilson? But equally, Life Goals is thrown out and said, look, if Bruno is out versus Palace, should ASM, Murphy, or Isak start? What do you think about those points?
I think, okay, first of all, I kind of touched on it earlier. Yeah, Wilson hasn't scored in a while, but he thought he played better today than he did recently. I still think I'd go with Wilson first, right? If we're sticking with the same formation. Or then, though, I'd probably, if he's sticking with the same formation, he would start ASM, I think, and move J7 back into midfield. Pretty much what he did today, the change he made today when Bruno came off. But then you never know. I can't really see him going home. We're going to be away from home against Palace. I can't see him going 4-4-2 and sticking Wilson and Isak on from the start. He may need to do that later in the game if we go behind, or if it's still 0-0 and he thinks we can get the result we need. But so I think ASM will start the next day, and Murphy will come on again. He always comes on for the last 10 minutes. He did okay today though when he come on. In fairness to him, he did well to come on. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Murphy.
Yeah.
Today.
I think coming on in those type of games is perfect for Murphy. When you want Murphy to do something in order to win as a game or get back into a game, that's where you struggle to bring someone like Murphy on. But when you're winning and you're holding on to something, bring him on, because he'll run all day for you. He'll keep the ball, he'll run into channels, he'll make it difficult for the opposition to get any sort of momentum. So I don't mind it in that situation, but it's when, when he comes on against Arsenal and it's 0-0, 60 minutes, 70 minutes into the game, thinking, we're playing for a point here. You know what I mean? It's one of those. I think it was the same against Leeds, but no, I would agree. ASM to start. But look, if Isak comes on again and scores against Palace, I think there's a genuinely tough decision to make, because as you mentioned, Wilson hasn't scored for a while now. He's played well, but hasn't scored for a while. And if Isak comes on and scores again, there is a genuine decision to be made. So, let's see. And I'm okay with it. It's a nice problem to have.
comment here from Jonathan as well, and it's good to throw this in with the semi-final a few days later. It must be likely that Wilson will be rested. So if we just look at so we play Palace on the Saturday, and we play Southampton the first leg on the Tuesday. So yeah, it could be that could come into the equation. Maybe Isak will start ahead of Wilson. That'd be interesting as well.
Yeah, it could be the other way around. It could be that he plays Wilson in the league and Isak in the semi-final. Is there more space to exploit against a team like Southampton? Possibly. That Palace have got a better defence. Is it more? We're kind of, I don't know. We're playing more tactically against Palace than we would be against Southampton. I don't know. I'm just throwing these things out there, but it's a great point and one to seriously consider, because I do think there'll be one or two changes if these players keep performing at the level that they are.
I'm gonna steal the chat for one second, Pete. I like this one from Chris McCarthy. This channel is a proper Newcastle channel. Fair play, lads. Come a long way since you started it back in the Brucey days. We sure have it back in the Brucey days. But thanks for that, Chris.
Well, what in the Brucey days where we were still doing 1.5 hour, 2 hour shows after getting absolutely hammered and no positives to talk about, and we're just ranting and raving. We're actually talking football now. We're talking winning matches. We're talking playing at the top end of football, which is a nice change. But look, it's for guys and girls like yourself that are in the chat that help us build into what we are. So we couldn't do it without you. So massive thanks. Do you want me to fly through? There's a few more. There's a few more to fly through.
Go for a few more.
I've got, interesting from Derek Shaw. Wonder if the Adidas rumors are true. Now, Daz, I'll let you talk about this because you brought this to the chat earlier on today.
Yeah, I didn't read the article, but I saw the 360 little snippet of it. I think it came from the Telegraph, and they said that Adidas were at the Leicester game, the cup game. What a game to be at to showcase Newcastle with all the war flags and all the scarves going. They must have gone, it's a no-brainer here. So sign away, yeah, whatever you want here. We want in on this beast. We want to come on this journey. But yeah, if it's true, it would be great. Back to the good old days of Adidas. For me, I like, and I know Chris as well is a fan of Nike. I like Nike as well. I've never seen a Nike Newcastle jersey, so that would be interesting. But no, Adidas, I'd love to go back in the good old days, in the Adidas kits again. So yeah, bring it on.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Just having a quality kit like Adidas, you know they'll go big with Newcastle. You know they'll go big with it, and you know that the club will want us to go big with Adidas. It's inevitable. One of those big brands, Adidas or Nike, Newcastle will sign with next season. No doubt about it. And you know what? It'll probably ramp up and be even quicker, and maybe the deal will be even bigger. Let's face it, if we get Champions League football. So, who's to say that if we get Champions League football that you don't add an extra 20 million on any kind of shirt deal, club shirt deal that's been agreed, and playing Champions League football, the Premier League have got no reason but to sign it off. So it can only be a good thing for Newcastle. If we're adding an extra 20 million on there, it means there's an extra 20 million to go on signing an absolutely class player to come into the team in the summer. So why not? It's the way we're going. We're going for the absolute best.
And the other thing, sorry, laughing at Georgie Jack here. Sorry, Masters was there to approve that listing. Like it, love it. Yeah. Thumbs up, where you go, lads. But of course. Then if we did have Adidas, we'd have none of those problems with the whole supply, the supply chain breaking down. And of course, you're a large, but you have to get a 3XL to actually fit, because the size is just stupid when it comes to Castore. You can, and that's to put you off actually buying something. Then you have to try it on, and then if it's just ridiculous. Anyway, get on to Adidas.
Lee brought me for Christmas. He brought me a class. It's like a puffer jacket. One of the training ones, absolutely class. But because of that reason, because the sizes are all over the place, it fits. But you want it to fit like where it's comfortable and it's nice and it's like
want to be able to breathe.
It's the right size for me, but because the sizes are all over the place, I was just like, you know what, I probably need a different size. So I've just like said, and so he goes to contact Castori, can't get in touch with him. This has been since Christmas. Like,
Jesus.
Can't get a response. Like, it's just mad. It's just mad. Quicker we get away from Castori, the better.
It is. And look, I like the Castori kits, but I just the logistics around it. It's just too messy for me. And then one from Alan Thompson there as well. That's a Pete. I also remember the show after the Wolves defeat. We were all so down, and look at us now. Fantastic show, lads. Keep it up. Cheers, Alan.
That was my birthday weekend. That was
that? I can't remember. Was that right before the take? Oh, that was right before the takeover. Yes. I remember. Yeah, as well. And of course, there's on our backlog or on YouTube and on our previous shows, there's a kind of a live line show we had. It's right the day before the 2 days before the takeover, and the negativity is so funny. And friend of the channel and who won our TV actually. Yeah, exactly. He was talking about handing in his season ticket, so lucky he didn't. But of course, then it all changed after that. But good one, Alan. Nice to point that out.
Definitely. Just Keith's just put this in here. Keith Dewhurst. Spurs the next 3 games: Man City away, Fulham away, and then Man City again at home. Wow. That is really, if that's the case, Keith, wow, that is crazy.
It'd be nice to have a bit of breathing space and in the sitting in the top 4 and a bit of breathing space to 5th spot.
There you go.
Brighton will probably overtake them.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Naz, there's no guarantee that they can claw it back. If we create a gap of, say, 5, 8, 10 points, there's no guarantee they're going to claw that back over the course of the season because they've shown that they're not necessarily consistent enough. Going back to transfers, Mark Pearson, Leicester playing hardball on transfers as usual. It's my guess that any players brought in this window will be names that haven't been spoken about. That's interesting. And obviously, we've talked about a few names recently of players that have been linked to us. None, especially this man who came to us, interestingly, during the away day show on Friday, with Craig Hope breaking the news. So we'll have to keep a watching eye on that one because he looked like he had a very, very good game against West Ham at the weekend. Looked like he played some really, really good stuff. It looks like he's on form. I did speak to Little Dan. He wasn't.
Is he thumbs up for that?
I'll put it nicely. I sent in the message on Friday. Said, "Oh, what do you make of the Neves rumours to Newcastle?" And he didn't respond until Saturday morning. And his response was, very much that no. He's not moving, and next time, say hello to me first and ask how I am before you ask me what's happening with my captain and our best ever signing at our club. So he didn't take it very positively, the fact that the links have started with Neves to Newcastle. And I think I don't think he'll be in the best of moods, should I say, if that deal materialises in January. Let's just put it that way.
And I'm just checking, Pete. When we play the 11th of March, we're due to play Wolves. So you imagine that away days show would be interesting if we had Neves in our squad
against his old club potentially if he ended up signing for us. Wow. Yeah. He might send someone else from the channel on that day. We'll get him on Battleground Europe. Just for the jokes.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, Battleground Europe, Lawless, Ash from Leicester, Little Dan. They're all in a relegation battle. They're in the race for the championship. We're in the race
Retitle that one, I think.
Yeah. I think we'd have to. I think we might have to go with the teams that are higher up. Look, interesting one. Would you want Luca Dean for 15 million? Now, we were obviously linked with him in January last year. We ended up going to 25 to Villa. What do you think? No?
I don't want him. He made his choice that time. If we were meant to be in the mix for him. Of course, we got Matt Target. The other side of that. Sorry, you froze there, Pete. I thought it was me. But no, I don't want him now. I'd look elsewhere.
I wouldn't buy any player from Aston Villa. I wouldn't. There is no player from Aston Villa that's there right now that I don't think we could go out and buy from another team of the same quality and possibly cheaper. You think Aston Villa are going to want to sell to us? I don't want to buy from them. I mean, they've got good players. Don't get me wrong. Bailey, Kamara. That's two.
Martinez, good keeper.
So he's not as good as Pope.
I know we've got Pope. No, he's not as good as Pope. No.
Well, for me, I wouldn't buy any. I wouldn't even with Kamara and Bailey. I wouldn't buy them from Villa. I'd have bought them. I'd have bought Bailey from Leverkusen. I'd have
Douglas Luiz
Kamara from Marseille. But Douglas Luiz here, his contract's out in the summer. Or is it? He might have signed a new deal, but I think his contract was scheduled to run out.
He could have signed a new deal.
Yeah, but
I can remember Arsenal were after him in the towards transfer deadline in the year.
I won't buy him. I won't buy him. There's better players out there. They'd want at least 30 million.
Yeah, there is.
We could buy at least one or two better players out there for probably cheaper. But I'd rather pay more and get a better player than Douglas Luiz. It doesn't even regularly play for Villa anyway. But look, good question. That was interesting. And yeah, I think we are about there. Just wanted to comments really.
Yeah.
Adrian Wilk said Fulham were decent today. Need to acknowledge they were on a good run, but we definitely the better side. Yeah, they were. I think they were going into the game on 5 straight wins. So they're having a good game, to be fair. A good run of games. Stephen King. Only other teams we've conceded against at home are Man City, where we drew 3-3, and Bournemouth, where it was 1-1. Didn't lose either game. Interesting. Very, very interesting from that perspective. And I think we're about there in terms of comments. Not unless there's anything popped up just recently.
There probably is quite a bit really that's popped up recently because fair play to you, Pete, for keeping the show on the road at the start, and that threw us off. Then with the volume of questions coming in, but I think we've done well. But that I think we should probably leave it there for the night, then, Pete. Now we must tell people what's coming up. During probably Tuesday or Wednesday, we're looking at a fully loaded transfer show. So we're going to go a bit earlier this week, unless there's a breaking news as well. We will be back for something like that as well. But we won't say anything yet about our guests for that one, because it can chop and change depending on availability on the night. But we have a few up our sleeve at the moment, and then we're back with away days on Thursday night, Pete, with the Crystal Palace.
We are. D from Back of the Nest will be joining us on Thursday, 7:30. Looking forward to reviewing the game. Obviously, they would have played. Am I right thinking that they played Man U the night before?
That's right.
So they'll obviously have lots to talk about from that perspective. And D's great. We've been on the channel a few times. He's had some representatives from his channel join us the last couple of times, but great guest. So knowledgeable about football. We might not all go our way in terms of positive
quizzes.
Sorry?
He's not the greatest at quizzes, though, is he?
Nah,
Great as
we'll
quizzes.
bring that up. We'll bring that up. Don't worry about that. Not the best quizzes about his own club, but look, we'll talk about that, no doubt. But he's a great guy. Looking forward to having him on, and we'll talk all things Palace, Newcastle on Thursday. But yeah, keep an eye out for some of our guests, as Daz just said, about for the transfer show and more.
Yeah, exactly.
All I'll say from myself and Daz is to keep in touch with all things loaded on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, because with our shows, they might just pop up. You might just see them pop up out of nowhere. And you'll know that they're available, but we'll certainly put them out on the loaded tweet. So keep an eye out, because it's going to be very, very interesting. And we've just got some great plans together for what's going to be happening in the next few weeks. So stay tuned.
Exactly. There's a few tricks up our sleeve, as always, and of course we'll be back next Saturday then for the reaction show, hopefully with broadband going full speed from the kickoff. But yeah, we'll be back at some stage. I think it'll probably be later, because it's a later kickoff on the Saturday night. But yeah, we'll be back for that. So stay tuned. That is it. We want to say a shout out as well to our sponsor in the shape of radiatorshed.com. Go check that out. And if you need any radiator needs, we're both in jail there, Pete. You know where to go. Check out the radiatorshed.com. And yeah, you have to go to the website. I know there's been a few tweaks in it at the moment, and but yeah, if you know if someone that is doing up their house or kitting out a new house, there's only one-stop shop to go to, and they also do the installation as well. So check that out. Talk to Russ. Drop an email, and he will sort you out in all your radiator heating needs. So yeah, that is it from us tonight. Thanks for sticking with us, and make sure you hit the like button on your way out, and if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Right, how'd you like that? See you later.
Take
Drink it.